Hello, my friends. Perlo Wisdom here from R&J Media. Y'all know R&J Media, right? Yeah, I'm going to be on it. I am going to be on R&J Media this season, doing a couple shows a week for them. And today, we're going to be talking about the Nashville Predators and their chances of making the playoffs, the future of what things look like for them, and what they may do in the regular season. We're going to look at all their roster. We're going to look at all their roster, see where they need to improve or not improve, and all of that sort of thing. You can see all my content. Just go check out at NHL Perlo's NHL POW. Let me try that again. Perlo's NHL POW on Twitter. You can get all my comment there, or all my content. Can't talk today. You can get it all there. Also, I just did Chicago. We did Toronto, the Rangers, Winnipeg, Seattle, San Jose, everything. Go check out all my other videos. And by the way, tell me in the comment section what you think of all of these that I'm throwing out there. This is really my opinion. It's a well-educated opinion. I watch a divorce-worthy amount of hockey and heavily into the analytics, don't you know? Also, I'm a professional sports bettor. You can find me on the Ice Guys this year. Again, Monday to Wednesdays, voted the best sports betting podcast in North America last year. So, yeah, got to be pretty good to be on that, I would say. All right, let's look at the Nashville Predators. I'm going to go to Daily Faceoff here because Puckpedia's got it all crazy with the new showing lines for basically what the exhibition lines are going to be, and I don't want that. So we're going to go to uh, Daily Faceoff, and we're looking at their lineups as they are on Daily Faceoff. You have Forsberg, Ryan O'Reilly, and Jonathan Marchessault as the first line here. Forsberg last year went way down defensively, but I'm going to give him a mulligan because Nashville played from behind a lot last year. And when a team plays from behind a lot, players' defensive analytics have a tendency to go because you're not trying to stop pucks, you're trying to score. Once you're down, you're going to push offense a lot. So I'm giving him a mulligan on that. Of course, everybody knows he's a number one left winger. He's a great player, absolutely no doubt about it. Nothing wrong with having a Philip Forsberg on your team. Ryan O'Reilly, still at 34 years old, is one of the best three-zone defensive players you're going to find. His offensive production has slipped quite a bit. One of the few players that still, it doesn't seem to matter with Ryan O'Reilly. He just doesn't know how to play any other way. Whether they're down one, down two, up three, the guy is always one of the best shutdown players in the league, even at 34 years old. So we're looking pretty good on the as far as first line goes. Now we have Jonathan Marchessault on the right side. I don't know if they're going to keep it that way. He can play both sides. Another guy whose defensive analytics went way down last year, but we're going to call that a mulligan. He's usually very average, which isn't too bad. Super fast. The only problem I have in this lineup, and actually kind of with all the additions they made last year, and I talked about it before, with Jonathan Marchessault and Philip Forsberg, they're basically the same kind of player. They play with speed off the wing. They produce offense usually by themselves. They like to have the puck on the stick as they enter the zone. And so does Ryan O'Reilly. He's a playmaker. So he has a tendency to want want the puck on the stick in the zone. So it's really not the best makeup of forwards for a first line. And I said that last year when I picked Nashville to miss the playoffs. I just thought you had too many guys that played the same way, and chemistry would be a problem, which has appeared to be the case. I think it might be a little better this year because they played with each other more, and they may figure out different ways to score and rely on other strengths to help out the lines and all that kind of stuff like that. But I just thought all of these additions were odd. Same as Steven Stamkos, who we'll talk about next. Steven Stamkos used to be like one of the better three-zone defensive players in the league, but hasn't been for the last year, 2 or 3 years. It's been slowly slipping, mostly because his skating speed isn't what it used to be, and never really was the greatest skater. But it's really starting to drop. He also doesn't drive offense, and he never has been a huge offensive driver. But he's got Stamkos shot, amazing passing, a great passer. Not amazing anymore, but still great because you can't get in the spots. Good finishing, good everything. He's a good second line guy now that performs better on the wing because he's not a play driver. But he's a guy that does know how to get into the spots to score. He's more of a complementary player at this stage of his career than he is a guy that's going to drive play. So I like him here on the second line, but like I said, these contracts that have been given out to guys like Steven Stamkos, I don't really get it. I love Barry Trotz. Love him with all my heart, to tell you the honest truth. He's one of my favorite humans on the planet involved with hockey. He's just a wonderful person, was an amazing coach. But, dude, I don't know if this GMing thing is for you, man. I'm sorry. Wayne Gretzky was one of the best, and he even said himself he was a horrible GM. And I hope that's not what ends up happening to you, but it's looking like it's heading that way. Fedor Svechkov up the middle, if they're going to keep on trying to bang this drum this early with this kid. Looks like he's got a lot of cool tools with him. He's big. Eye test on the ice. He looks pretty impressive. He's got pretty good speed for a big guy, but he's still got a lot of work to do with his overall game. And he's probably not going to be a huge offensive producer even when he hits his stride. He has a good shot, about an average shot for an offensive player, not spectacular. There's no real part of his game that's spectacular except for his size and the speed combination, which is good. It's always good to have guys like that. But he's not really good defensively. He doesn't really drive play yet. He's working on that. So honestly, with what I just said with Steven Stamkos, I'm not sure I would play him here. I don't know where to play him, to tell you the honest truth. I think they made it. I would play him with Forsberg or something like that if you really want to help this kid come along. I think Stamkos is more of a complementary player and not someone that's going to show the way for a guy like Fedor Svechkov, where they're hoping he can be a line driver and all of those sort of things like that. So I wouldn't really do this, but that's the way they have it on Facebook or Facebook. Daily face-off right now. Luca Evangelista. I mean, this kid is this solid young kid. He's got a good mind for the game for a 24-year-old. He's starting to put up some points. They're in a contract situation right now. From all accounts I have heard, that it's going to come. They're going to sign him. It's just taking a little bit of time, and they better, because he's one of the few young players on the team, let alone young or old, that really pays attention to three-zone defensive awareness. I shouldn't say that. No, that's not true. Forsberg does as well. There are other guys, but he did so much. He did it last year at a time when his team was playing from behind a lot, and he was still effective in that role. He didn't play against the hugest competition. In other words, they gave him kind of protected minutes. But I think he got more of a chance this year, and I really like him as he grows in that second line spot. So not a bad. The second line itself altogether, though, is pretty poopty, to tell you the honest truth. I mean, you need something better than this. I think they'll end up having to put Stamkos back on the wing again, or back to center again off the wing, which isn't ideal, but is probably better than having Svechkov there at this time. I just don't think he's ready. Last year he played against lower competition and he wasn't there. So we'll see. He's going to have to take a big jump for him to be playing second line center spot here. I think the more likely thing is Michael Bunting will be up there with Stamkos and Evangelista, who we're about to talk about now. Michael Bunting is about as average of a third liner as you can get. He's a strong third line player. He can play against average competition, and you're going to hear this a lot for the rest of this lineup, to tell you the honest truth. He likes to go to the net, all of that kind of stuff. He's got a fairly good. He's a good guy to have on your team, but he's a better guy to have on your team when you have a much better team than this. I'm not really sure what getting Michael Bunting was good for, except for maybe, and this is a theory I've had for quite some time, is I think I think that Trotz knew that he had to rebuild before he got Stamkos and Marchessault and Bunting, but he had nobody to rebuild with. His owner didn't want him to sell off Forsberg in these big name draws because they got to balance things out. They got to bring guys to the rink. He's got to make money. It's a small market, so he wasn't able to trade the Forsbergs and the Josies and stuff. So I think he went out and got some players, and he's crossing his fingers he'll be able to retain on some of these contracts and get picks that he wouldn't have been able to get without him. I think that's what's going on here, but we'll see. If that's the case, then I give Trotz a mulligan for doing some of the things he's doing here. Eric Holla, about as average as you can be. Not a bad playmaker, doesn't score much, not a great offensive guy. He can put up points though. What did he get last year? 21 points in 69 games? That's not that much. That's not that great. And geez, man, he's 34 years old. So it was really like these weird pickups that I can only imagine that he's getting them for the purpose of being able to flip them later. It's just the only thing that makes sense to me. They're trying out this Joakim Kemmel kid right now. I don't think he's ready. He didn't get many points in the minors yet. I don't think he's going to be able to fill a role. So next, like Eric Holla and then Zachary Leroux, who is probably should be a fourth liner, but he's young and he's building, and giving him an opportunity to play against tougher competition this year is probably the way to go. He may struggle with it, but if he's going to progress, he's got to go against tougher and tougher competition all the time and get used to it. So, I mean, that third line is meh. Pretty meh. That's about all I can tell you of that. Matthew Wood, I loved this kid last year. He came up and he looked pretty solid. He looked like he wasn't out of place at all. He's got a big game. He looks like a guy. He looked like a player that can drive to the net, kind of like a power forward. Had some good offensive skills, good skating. I liked it. I liked the pick when they picked him. Actually, I thought that was a really good pick. Looks like he has good leadership, good compete, everything you want in a player. So I don't mind that. And they're playing, but the thing is, they're playing him on the fourth line here. I think he's going to play up in that third line spot, and Leroux will play down here. And if he's fading or whatever, they'll fill in with other spots that we'll talk about right now. Michael McCarron, classic fourth liner. It seems like Trotz is really going with size. I mean, if we're going to lose, we might as well be big and beat people up. That's kind of what it is. I respect McCarron. I respect all players, but I really respect McCarron because this is a guy that worked his balls off. And got better every year, really worked, one of the hardest working guys you're ever going to find. And he's found his niche in Nashville. He was in the minors a long time with Montreal and never gave up. These are guys that you just love to have. And they're good guys to have with young guys to show them what it means to be an NHLer. So I don't mind him being there at all. He's not the best player in any one particular area. He's probably maybe an average to below average fourth liner. But there is more than just what you do on the ice, especially depending on if you're a team like Nashville that should be rebuilding. I think he has a lot of value that way, just to be able to show kids how it is to work your balls off to get to where you're going, to be on a team, and not only be on your team but get better. So I think he's good for that. Cole Smith, same thing. Fourth liner, nothing spectacular. The fourth line is nothing spectacular. The team is nothing spectacular. We'll look at the forwards. Roman Josi is spectacular, of course. An incredible offensive player. Not really great defensively, but it really does. He's good enough for the offense he provides, and it hasn't stopped. It's always been there for him, and he keeps on going. He seems to like it in Nashville because I think this team is probably going to be pretty crappy for quite a while. So he just wants to live in Nashville. Good for him. Good for his family. But I mean, if he ever really thought to himself he wants to win a cup, I don't think I'd be hanging around here. They got Justin Barron on the right side here, and I like this kid. I think he's really good. I think he's more of a third pairing guy right now, but he's improved drastically, really, really quick. And it's possible that he could just have a huge bump here. His trajectory looks like a good second liner, second right D at least, and maybe even a first, just by how quickly he is learning the game right now. It all seems to be clicking in with him. They have him on the top pair here. I think that's a little bit optimistic. He did play against more lower competition. And when I say lower competition, I prescribe to JFresh, and it has a little thing like competition on there. And basically what coaches will do is they'll try to line up guys, certain players, especially young players, against like the third or fourth lines of other teams, to weaker competition as much as they possibly can. And that has been the case with Justin Barron, but he's done so very well. And actually later in the season was giving more responsibility against tougher competition. And my eye test looked like he was doing just fine. So I really liked, of course, that top pair. I don't like him in this spot. I would rather take the next person I'm going to talk about, Nick Blankenberg. I've always liked this guy. I don't know why Columbus really didn't see the value in this guy, except for the fact that he's not extremely physical, but he's really smart, man. He was always in position. He's one of those guys that are always in position all the time. And if you watch, if you watch the game, like what people say when talking about when I get into analytics, is why don't you just watch the game? I watch the game a lot, but I have to admit that I don't always watch every aspect of the game when I watch it. I just watch the game. I don't notice deployment by players or all of that all the time, unless I decide to take a player that I really want to see and just focus in on him in a game. And I'll do that in the afternoons on tape games. That's how much I watch hockey. And I've watched Blankenberg, and the thing that really impresses me with him is he is just always in position in all three zones. He has great defensive awareness combined with offensive instincts. He doesn't overplay his offense to put him out of position to get back very often. Seldom, actually. I really like him, and I would put him up on the top pair. He hasn't really shown to be that yet, but I think he's ready. He's 26, 27 years old. I give him a shot, considering the lineup that they have. Brady Shea, he was a really good defensive player, has good offensive instincts. He had a really tough time last year, and can't really put my finger on why. I hope he bounces back because they're really going to need him. But if he does bounce back, I don't mind Justin Barron and him as a second pair. It's not spectacular, but it's not terrible either. I'd rather have Blankenberg up with Josie. And then we have the two I don't get. Nicholas Hag. Nicholas Hag in Vegas was always given very easy deployment. As much as possible, he did not play against the other team's top lines. Giving him $5.5 million, basically he's a third line, a third D, and you have to use him in certain situations, and that's just way too much money for a guy like that. Sorry. I know his size throws people off. The fact that he was on Vegas and he won cups and stuff like that, but he was utilized in a way that I don't know how they're going to use him here. I hope that they do the same thing because he's not bad when you use him that way. But if you start expecting him to be like top pair and going up against the elite talent in the game, you're going to get crushed. And the same for the next guy, Nick Perbix. I don't get it. I think there's better players actually than that. Let me go to Puckpedia. There's better players than him. I know they are. Willsby is one of them. I would rather play Willsby than Perbix, which tells you how much I don't like that contract for Perbix. He got very, very sheltered minutes in Tampa Bay, and they really gave him the best opportunities he could to succeed, and he didn't really do a good job of it. I think that was a bad move as well. I would rather take Adam Wilsby, who really showed as well that he could be capable against lower competition last year. He's 25 years old. He's improving. I like his game, much like Blankenberg, actually. I think he's got a lot of potential to be one of those type of guys. So overall, I think this defense is poor, and I think they have an average forward group. I don't think it isn't good. This is not good. I hope that Barry Trotz's idea was to, like, you got Stamkos as 2 more years at $8 million. That'll bring him till he's 37, 38. I think if they retain, there's teams out there that'll take Steven Stamkos for the next 2 years at, say, $4 million or something like that, and he can get a return. And my gut says that's exactly what he did here. He brought these guys in and said, look, we're going to give it a shot. I'm going to see what we can do. But in the back of his mind, he was pretty sure it wasn't going to work. But he knew he needed to rebuild. And he had a roster that you couldn't really get. How do you rebuild if you don't get draft picks, right? So you also have Jonathan Marchessault, who's $5 million for the next 3 years. He's 34. I think there's teams that will take him even at that number. And you could get like second round, first round, whatever picks from these players at the deadline. And I think he also viewed it, as I said about Seattle, another team as well, but Seattle is he might as well wait to the 2026-27 drafts where they were thought by scouts to be much deeper and have higher end talent. You have generational talent in these 2 drafts. So if he gets as many picks as he can out of this, and I think the rebuild starts here. Michael Bunting and Eric Holla, even they could be used to even they could be used to rebuild with, to get draft picks and just tear it down. The owner, I don't think, is really liking that idea too much because they're already losing money, and if they, it's going to be tough for the owner. It'll really depend on what the owner says they should do. He's kind of bleeding money as it is. So, but if you're going to be bad, you might as well be bad with the possibility of being good. If they keep on going the way they are, this is a team that's just going to be bad, bad, bad. I didn't talk about the goaltenders. Saros had an up and down year last year. He's 30 years old. When he's on, he's on. He's really, really good, but he can be a little bit fluctuating. But I'm going to give him a pass because they really didn't have many defensive forwards that played very well. Their defense was really bad, so I give them a pass. And Justus Annunen, I'll just go by what Babano likes to say, useless Annunen. Yeah. So until he shows otherwise, that's not a very good goaltender. So I say they miss, and I say they really miss. I think that they could be bottom 7 in the league. All right, thank you for listening, everybody. Like I said, Perlo's NHL POW on Twitter is where you can find all my content. Be looking out for much more of my content on RNJ Media, where I will have a show called Puck in Deep. If you like getting in deep on NHL games, NHL teams, all the news that happens, trades, and all that kind of stuff like that, I think you like it. And you'll also be able to purchase my picks where we were up enormous amounts of money last year in the NHL. And I haven't really got a number set, but it's pretty low. It's going to be like $20 or something like that for you to purchase all my picks. So it doesn't even cost you much. You get to have a lot of fun and talk hockey. Can't wait to see you there. Enjoy everything. Hockey season's coming soon. I'm so